So sourdough is something where this is still under test, I would say. Haven't done on the sourdough testing because sourdough already has a starter culture. We did test in a normal bread, a sandwich bread. So sharing something on sandwich bread because it's all depend on the bake conditions, right? So our experience is when we bake it, let's say at 375 or 400 Fahrenheit for 18-20 minutes, we get a survival rate of over 40%. The more temperature we use, like if one is going at 450 or 475 Fahrenheit, then the survival rate goes really down. So the best conditions we would recommend for this product is like 375, 400 Fahrenheit, and then 18-20 minutes kind of bake time. One can get a good survival rate up to 40%.
Okay. So I have a follow-up question on that one. Is there a minimum pH that bakers need to watch out for? Like, can't go below 5 or can't go below 4, you know? I think that's what the question was too.
Great. Yeah. So I'm going back to, like one of the slides where we presented the pH stability of the product, like SABL-BSC. We tested its stability from pH 1.5 until 7, and we have survival rate of over 95%.
Oh, wow.
And if it is like more on the baked good general pH, which is typically 4.55 between 6.5, the survival rate is 100%.
Okay, so yeah, to answer the person with the sourdough question, it will definitely survive the sourdough process.
Yes, it will survive the sourdough process, definitely. So the sourdough, so why I say like we are still testing, because sourdough cultures, there are some cultures in the sourdough as well. So we're studying kind of an interaction, which generally I feel it won't much inhibit into the process or interfere the process or even the flavor, because this particular product is not releasing any fatty acids or anything. Generally sourdough, you have sour thing coming out.
Okay, and one more follow-up question. Is there a combination of temperature plus moisture plus pH that we need to look for, especially in, very long ferment biga like sourdoughs?
I don't think so. We have to look into that one. That really doesn't affect any parameters. First one is the stability of the product. So if you look at the aqueous stability or the stability under different moisture levels, let's say we are putting this probiotic into water. I'm talking of like really high moisture conditions, right? And at the resting temperatures of the dough, this is still like in 100% survival rate. So coming into dough, this really doesn't matter. It doesn't affect any viability on that. pH, we already discussed about it. So pH and moisture, if you look at it, it's not really anyone has to look into when they're applying product into the baked goods.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the key parameter would be here is it's only the temperature, as I said, because in the baked goods, one is using various different bake times and bake temperatures. I think this is one of the parameters, or probably the only parameter to be watched.
And that's a really nice thing about SCBLC, because I know we have a slide that we talk about, hey, when you do your product application, keep in mind your process, like your temperature, pH, and time. But like that's in general with probiotics, because some probiotics, as you mentioned, they don't form spores. They're going to be affected by all of those conditions, and this is really nice about us.
Sure.
LBSC.
Thank you, Sophia. And so there are a lot of studies reported into the literature the ratios are not well defined. It varies from individual to individual. It also varies from geographies also. In Asia, it's different because people are exposed to more of like a dust or pollution kind of stuff. So there are still the bad bacteria, they are there into the gut, but then the immunity is very well built because it's right from day one, right? If someone living in a sterile environment, like the clean environment, then yeah, that ratios probably they are less. It could be anything between 10 to like 1:5 or 3:5 or 5:5. So this all depends on all the conditions which is there.
Right, and I don't think any studies out there from any kind of universities would be humane enough to figure this out for sure. So
Yes.
I think the answer is very general.
Yeah, so it's someone with this. But one thing which would be there, it really doesn't. Yeah, it really doesn't matter what is the ratio. I'm proud of ACB/LBSC in the sense that when one is taking ACB/LBSC regularly, there's definitely an evidence where we have from the clinical studies the population of the good bacteria that grows significantly, and that outclass or outperforms the pathogen ill effect and also its population into the gut, because the metabolites which are coming out of the ACB/LBSC metabolism, this kind of like an act of food for the good bacteria to grow. And it also has, like as Sophia mentioned, it also has probably a direct killing effect onto the pathogens. And it also doesn't allow the pathogens to stick into the inner lining of the gut, because ACB/LBSC has a preferred way of attaching to the inner lining of the guts. So this is really amazing. It doesn't interfere the fermentation process. So
that's important in terms of understanding, okay, we get them through baking, we get them through, storage, distribution, and then it hits, digestion and the early stages of our eating it, where it's supposed to be delivered to the lower gut. So do we actually destroy it once it gets into our stomach because it's got a really low pH and it's not protected anymore?
no, it doesn't get destroyed. So I go back to again the studies where we have done on the pH stability, right? And so those are the pH stability under gut stimulation conditions, where we have like the bile salts or the bile acids, which is released into the gut. Under their presence also, the probiotic survives. So all it happens, the way it happens is once you start taking these probiotics, you have to take it every day. Once you start taking it, it takes some time for these probiotics to populate into the gut, right? So generally the population time would be, let's say 24 hours and then onwards. So 24 hours and 48 hours. And once it starts populating and we are like supplementing every day with probiotic, there's like a complete plethora of good bacteria which would be there. Okay, so under pH stability, under the pH conditions where we seen ACB/LBSC is stable right from pH 1.5, which is not the gut condition. The gut condition is like 2.5 and onwards, and still surviving at 1.5. It really doesn't have any ill effect from the gut. Rather, it populates really very well.
And we also see it in the clinical studies, because that's they're taking the ACB/LBSC, so it's going through the stomach, and it is providing that health benefits.
Yeah, that's one good point, Sophia. So when we see from the clinical studies, it has shown its performance, and performance even with the people who were sick. So this is still performing. So imagine like one is healthy and then taking it, so the health benefits would further increase.
Right. I think a lot of us who are developing baked goods don't understand this point. We have all these questions about, well, is it going to be effective? Is it going to be helpful? And I think through today's session, we uncovered a lot about that. And I learned a lot personally. I love that question because this is a baker who cares about the kind of probiotics that customers get. So are there really storage, time, temperature, moisture, freezer, shelf stable that really affects this?
Well, it doesn't. Okay, that's a good answer. I would say it's probably everyone would be happy to hear that. So what we did it is we tested this probiotic for its shelf stability on real-time data, right? And when we store this under 25 to 30 degrees C, it shows potency over 2 years. So on safer side, we say, hey, it's 2 years minimum. This is what the beauty of this product is. This is product by itself when it's stored. When this product is applied into various different baked goods or even other food items, so the food items has a particular storage conditions and also the storage time. So in the various food matrices studies we have done, like the different beverages or the baked goods or even the confectionaries, we've seen that in the given storage conditions and time for various different food items, SCBLBAC has shown like a good storage stability. So it survives through the food storage conditions very well. To my knowledge, yes, recently with the things coming from EU, so EU has kind of rejected various different applications onto the health claim around the probiotic. Whereas FDA also here, it's like they are going on similar lines where EU was going, but then on probiotics, it is taken as a food supplement, saying that, hey, this is a healthy stuff to use. Consumers are liking it more and more. So I would suggest if anyone wants to make a health claim, it's best to refer to the FDA guidelines and then put some label claims onto the promotion or onto the product. Like we see various different food items here. It just says like a healthy gut or supports gut health kind of stuff. So that's the kind of claims which are going on. But really on the health claim, yes, I suggest it's best to refer to the FDA guidelines.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, we have come to the end of the hour, and it has been an educational session for me. I hope it is as good for you all out there. Thank you for sitting in and listening to the experts. Thank you, Malissa, Dipak, and Sophia for coming on. I really appreciate your time, and I learned so much from you today. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lin and team. I really appreciate having us today on this topic.
Wonderful knowledge. Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you.